Hi, I'm Shoestring Jay and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things thrifty, frugal and money saving. And today I thought I would have a look at things that I have bought over the years that I think have actually saved me money. So normally I say, I don't encourage people to buy lots of things, and still I would say that. Don't buy lots of pointless stuff. Most of us have far too much stuff and spend too much money buying things that we don't really use. So I'm not suggesting that you rush off and buy any of these things that I'm going to suggest unless you think you're really going to use them. Sorry if I sound a bit croaky today. I am a bit croaky. I have tested positive for COVID, but luckily I am not ill with it. I just feel like I've got a heavy cold. So anyway, that's why I sound a bit croaky, and that's why I'm wearing a lot of makeup, because I looked so rubbish anyway, so pale and ill. I thought I'd better make some effort. Anyway, the first thing I would say that has saved me money over the years was a little pair of hairdressing scissors that I bought from Boots, probably, I don't know, 15 years ago probably. And okay, I don't do my own haircuts in a major way. I always cut my own fringe. You're probably thinking, well, that's really wonky. But I can cut my own fringe because I've got a cow's lick and I can do it just as well as any hairdresser. They always struggle with it and it ends up really wonky anyway. But at one point I was really skinned and I went through a phase of cutting my own hair, and I wouldn't have done it from scratch, I have to say. I wouldn't have gone and done myself a new hairstyle, but because I've got these kind of layers, I discovered that if you kind of pull them up, I'm not going to do it now because I'll mess it up, but you pull it up, and I was just following the lines of what the hairdresser had done, and I took sort of an inch off all over and it looked fine. And when I went to the hairdresser, she said, I've had a lot of people in here, this was post-COVID, who have cut their own hair, and yours is actually the best. It's really good. So, and I've done that a few times over the years. Most recently I did it through the first lockdown, just to stop it being so straggly. I've also done my daughter's hair in the past. She's got very long hair. At one point it was all long and a single layer. So I looked on YouTube, and if you pull your hair into a tight ponytail up here and then just cut a small amount off the top, it falls into nice layers. And it actually did, it worked really well. She had nice long layers, and then there was a bit at the back that was a bit V, so I just cut that straight. And that was very easy. So if you've got very long hair, a pair of hairdressing scissors will save you money. Another thing that did save me a lot of money at one point when I was eating a lot of bread was a bread maker. Because, you can buy very cheap bread and it tastes cheap, doesn't it? Let's be honest. At the moment, I'm not eating bread at all. I think that gluten is a big problem for me, and I'm tending to eat quite low carb. But there's nothing like really delicious, freshly baked, crusty bread. And that's normally quite expensive, particularly if you want to buy something like a spelt bread or a sourdough or something like that. Although you don't need a bread maker to make sourdough, you just need a starter. I've made that a few times, that's quite easy. But I used to make a lot of bread, really lovely crusty bread in my bread maker, and I think that did save me money. It's so easy to make bread in a bread maker, and you can pick them up as well if you wanted to get one but not maybe buy an expensive new one. You can quite often pick them up second hand. I got one for £15 for my daughter from Facebook Marketplace, so it's quite possible to do that. So a bread maker can save you money. Another purchase that I think really saves so much money and probably should have been top of my list is a freezer. If you've got space for a freezer, I think it can save a lot of money, and they don't cost an awful lot to run. I know some people worry about how much they cost to run, but if you keep them fairly full, then they're more efficient, and vacuum the backs of them is the other tip that somebody gave me. That can make them more energy efficient, and so they're not particularly bad. I think they save money. So, for example, if you find a lot of reduced items, reduced prices, yellow stickered items, then you can buy them all and freeze them. I did that with that big lump of salmon you may have seen me buy at the beginning of the year. You can buy gluts of fruit and veg when they are in season and cheap, or maybe you've grown your own, or you've got friends who've grown their own, and you can freeze those. We've still got some courgettes in our freezer from last year, actually. You can freeze bones, so if you have a chicken carcass, maybe you can save those. I usually save until I've got a couple, and then I'll make stock and freeze the stock as well till you're ready to use it. And you can make soup. So again, if you've got gluts of things, you can make soup and freeze that until you're ready. And it tastes so much nicer than a can of soup, and it's there and it's ready. So that's another thing you can do. You can batch cook. So if you want to do a whole load of cooking in one go, this avoids the need to go and buy microwave ping meals, because you've got your own meals that you have batch cooked and left in the freezer for when you need them. So that enables that. And there's so many uses for a freezer. Even if you've got kids, rather than having to go to the shop and spend a lot of money on lollies, you can make your own, put them in your freezer, or you can buy a cheap box and keep them in there as well. So freezer's really, really good money-saving thing. And again, you don't have to spend a lot of money on a freezer. I managed to get my first one. It's now defunct, but I did have it for quite a number of years, free on FreeCycle. So it's possible to even get them for free or second hand. And I know you can get a lot of inspiration towards frugality on the internet now, and you probably feel like you don't need to buy a lot of books. But one book that has inspired me over many, many years, and is very, very bashed up, as you can tell, is the Tightwad Gazette. So if you can get the complete Tightwad Gazette, that's even better. You can get them second hand, you can still buy them new. You can sometimes, if you're really, really lucky, you might pick these up in a charity shop, but unlikely. But it's an old book. It's from the 1990s when we had a bit of a crash going on then, but it's all still relevant. And so I would say if you can get a copy of this, or if you can borrow one from the library, it is well worth looking at. And it would be a good investment if you end up buying it, because it gives you a lot of inspiration. It makes you really determined, and it helps you to see how creative you can be and how creative frugality can save you money. So pick up a copy of the Tightwad Gazette if you possibly can. With energy prices going through the roof now, another really good investment, I feel, is a slow cooker. So I have used my slow cooker over many, many years. It's getting a bit knackered and battered now, actually, but I've used it for a lot because it doesn't cost hardly anything to run, and it uses very little electricity. So rather than putting a casserole in the oven, you can stick it in the slow cooker before you go to work or first thing in the morning, and you can leave it on most of the day on very, very low and come home to a delicious warming stew or casserole. You can do all sorts in your slow cooker as well. And I have actually been gifted a slow cooker by Salter. So because my other one's a bit past it, I'm going to be doing some recipes and things in coming videos just to show you this one that I've been gifted. But you can do anything in them. You can do porridge in them, you can make jam in them. Apparently I've never tried doing that, but they cost very little to run. So I would suggest if you can pick one of those up, it's really worth buying one. If you've got a big family though, do get the biggest one you can. So I think my daughter made a mistake and bought quite a small one. If you want to do batch cooking in it as well, I would get a bigger one. But slow cooker is well worth the investment. From an environmental perspective, as well as a money-saving one, I have been using an airer for a long time, and also washing my washing line when it's nice weather, to dry our laundry. And it does save money. Tumble dryers cost quite a lot, plus they use a lot of energy. And again, this is another thing people will be becoming a little bit more aware of. I know that if you've got a very large family, that having clothes horses, airers as we call them, all around your house can be a bit of a faff and a bit annoying. But the other thing you could get, that might be worthwhile investment, is a heated airer. So you plug them in, and they cost less to run than your average tumble dryer, a lot less, but they will dry a little bit more quickly. So that's another thing that is worth considering if you have a lot of laundry to dry. So I would say a heated airer, but anyway, any airers and a washing line. Those kind of things, anything that makes you avoid using your tumble dryer is really, really worth an investment. The other thing that we bought that we didn't buy to dry our laundry, but it ended up being an absolute godsend for drying laundry, was a dehumidifier. We actually bought it because we had a bit of a problem with condensation in the house. We were getting a little bit of mould. So we invested, it cost about £150 for a dehumidifier. So it turned out to have a laundry drying section on it. And so in the winter, when we've had a lot of laundry and we haven't wanted to build up condensation in the house, we've used that, and it's been really, really good. So that's another thing that's worthwhile considering. A job that I don't particularly like doing is washing the car. Every now and then it is really nice just to take your car to the car wash place, and they do such a great job for about £20, and it is really good. However, we're talking being extremely frugal here. So if you want to save money on getting that, then it's a worthwhile investment to buy yourself some car washing stuff. So you could get yourself a big sponge, some car wash fluid, some wax maybe, if you wanted it to be all shiny. It depends how much you care about it really. Chamois leather. Just invest, a tenner on some equipment to wash your own car, maybe a bucket would be the other thing, and wash it yourself. You save yourself 20 quid a time. And the next thing on my list of things that will save you money, purchases that will save you money, would be some gardening equipment. If you've got any space for a vegetable patch in your garden, or you've got a patio and you can have some grow bags, then buying some basic gardening tools to grow your own vegetables and fruit can save you money long term. And you can get things really quite cheaply. I mean, I see tools all the time at boot sales. You can pick up secondhand shovels and forks and rakes and that kind of thing, so you wouldn't have to spend an awful lot of money on them to start with, and then some seeds and some compost, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. And if you eat a lot of particular vegetable, for example courgettes, we eat loads of those, and we grow a few and they keep us going all year. So it's worth considering whether growing your own food would be worthwhile, and whether it's worth you buying a bit of equipment to do some veggie gardening. And the other thing is, this is where your freezer comes in as well. When you've done that, if you do grow your own, then you can stick it in the freezer and have it all year round. Something else that's really saved money recently is some pots of paint, paintbrushes, sandpaper, that kind of thing, to enable me to upcycle some of the furniture in the house. And we've got some good solid furniture. Some of it has seen better days. It's still solid, but could have done with, being upcycled a bit. So I did all of the furniture in the bedroom. I've done the hallway, we've got a nice dresser there, I've done that. I've done a few things over the years. The kitchen dresser now needs doing. It would cost a lot of money for us to buy new furniture. We could possibly get it secondhand, but it's still a bit of an investment. Whereas a pot of decent paint, and I like French chic paint, will cost maybe £18. It's expensive for paint, but it does a really, really good job. So a pot of paint, some paintbrushes, a bit of sandpaper can really save you money in the long run. And some other things that have saved money over the years that you might think you don't need anymore because you can find lots of stuff on the internet is some frugal cookbooks. I mean, I personally like to have a book, and I go back to the recipes again and again. So I use this all the time. A lot of you will have this. A girl called Jack. This is Jack Munro's first cookbook. Some of the subsequent ones are good as well. So, but this one is my absolute favourite book. I really like this. I picked it up in the charity shop. Save with Jamie, another charity shop. I mean, I'm not a great fan of Jamie Oliver generally, because I don't think that his recipes are that inexpensive, but some of the ones in this book are really quite nice and different and inexpensive to make, so I like that one. And the other one, Frugal Classic, Delia's Frugal Food. Again, I think I picked this one up secondhand, so I think they're worth having. You can borrow them from the library, of course, and they're even less expensive then. And then you can, once you know that you like a particular recipe, you can probably find it on the internet in the future after that. But personally, I like to have actual cookbooks. I'm a bit old school, and they give me a bit of inspiration. Sometimes I will take recipes and just change them slightly. But it's good to have a starting point, isn't it? And you can do that on the internet for nothing. You can borrow these from the library for nothing. But I like to have books, and I think it's a worthwhile investment. Something that saved us a lot of money when we first got it was a Freeview box, and we got our second hand actually from Facebook Marketplace. You can also get free sat, and some of them are really quite good now. You can pause programs, you can record them, and all sorts of things. So we find that there's a lot to watch on the free channels, so a Freeview box has been a really good investment for us as regards entertainment. The other thing that we do find helpful that didn't cost very much money to buy is an Amazon Fire Stick, and we can see all sorts of channels on that. So those are two things that we have found that helped us when we cut cable completely, got rid of our expensive, we had a Virgin Media contract, got rid of that, and we got Freeview and we got a Fire Stick, and that's been really, really perfect. So it saved us lots of money. And this is a really good one if you've got children, because they love it. And I would say a good investment is a tent and camping equipment, and it can cost quite a bit to start with. You don't have to go for absolutely top quality everything though. You can buy things in sales. We got our tent in the sale years ago. You can get them second hand. Same with all the camping equipment. Sometimes you can even get them on Freecycle or Frugal. And camping holidays are really, really cheap. I know we're a little bit at the mercy of the weather. We've had some quite wet camping holidays, but we've also had some fabulous, beautiful, sunny camping holidays that have been amazing. And the accommodation is obviously fairly basic, but it's very cheap, and kids love it. They love getting away from technology. I think it's really good for them to do this as well. And if you choose somewhere really nice to go and camp, they can explore, they can, I mean, we went into Rendlesham Forest, it was a long time ago now, but it's a great place for family holidays. That's Rendlesham in Suffolk, because you're literally in the forest, and we saw glowworms, we saw wild ponies, we saw loads of wildlife, loads of birds. It was absolutely amazing, and kids love that sort of thing. If you could near a beach, they can go beach combing, and they think it's all some great adventure. With the cost of petrol at the moment going absolutely through the roof. I mean, it's absolutely scary, isn't it? You go to the petrol station, it's gone up so much. So a good investment has got to be a bicycle. If you can do journeys locally, then a bicycle could save you a lot of money. Obviously, if you've got a long commute, a bicycle is not going to necessarily be very helpful, although I do see a lot of people going to the station with those fold-up ones and taking them on the train with them, so it could still save you money, or they leave them in the car park. So but if you've got, you know, if you just do a lot of local journeys, and you can, I know people that go to Lidl with their baskets, their panniers on their bicycles, and get the whole shop in there. So, you know, that's a possibility. It's worth considering whether going on a bike would be a worthwhile investment for you. I think a food processor of some sort is another worthwhile investment that will save you money, because scratch cooking saves you money. If you cook from scratch, then it's worth having maybe something like a Kenwood processor. And again, you can pick these up secondhand. I use mine a lot. It's a very old one. I use it a lot. But the food processor, the liquidizer part rather, is probably the most used part, because I make a lot of soup, smoothies and things like that. And if you buy a smoothie, or you buy cans of soup, or you buy those fresh soups that you can get in cartons, they're quite expensive. It's really, really cheap to make your own soup. It's a good way to use up bits of vegetables, odds and ends, leftover cooked vegetables and that kind of thing. So it does save you money. It prevents food waste. And as I say, you can also make smoothies. This morning we had smoothies just with some yoghurt. We had some bits and pieces of fruit, a banana that looked a bit past its best, some frozen berries, and it was a really, really nice way to start the day. So I think a food processor can save you a lot of money. If you do a lot of baking, you use it a lot. Kids love doing it as well, and it's a lot less hassle than sitting trying to beat things by hand. So a food processor, if you can pick one up, can save you some money, I think. There are so many things that can save you money that are worth paying out for, but the last lot that I'll talk to you about is insulation. So again, energy prices going through the roof. I really think it's worthwhile insulating your house properly if you can afford it, or if you can get a grant for it. So we had wall cavity insulation done, we had the loft insulated, and that was really worth doing. And the other things we did that were very inexpensive that are worth doing is putting the foil, you can get the padded radiator foil from B&Q and places like that, and putting them behind your radiators. I was really, really surprised at just how much difference it made having the radiator foil. I didn't think it would be as effective as it was, so I'd say it's worth it, and it's very inexpensive. The other thing that's worth doing is fitting liners to your curtains to keep the drafts out for your windows, maybe putting a door curtain over your window, draft excluders around your door if you've got an old wooden sort of gappy door, it's worth doing that. There's all sorts of things you can do to warm your house up a little bit. And for more ideas, if you have a look at the Energy Saving Trust, it's really, really lots of ideas on there. It's really, really worth looking at. And I did mention that I'd bought a plug-in heated blanket a few weeks ago. So that's something else that's going to be saving us money come next winter. I probably won't use it much before then, but that's also a worthwhile thing to invest in. So anyway, that's my list of things that I think are worth buying in order to save yourself some money. Be really interested to hear hear what your ideas are. Please leave them in the comments below. I'm sorry I've sounded all bunged up and croaky during this video. I thought I would come on and make one anyway, so if you just forgive me for sounding I'm so bunged up and also a bit scatterbrained. I've been a bit all over the place and I've got a bit of brain fog going on. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me the thumbs up and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications bell so you can see next time I publish a video. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.